Some Amazon sellers skip Prime Day due to Trump's tariffs. Many Amazon sellers are pulling back from Prime Day this year, citing 145% tariffs on Chinese imports that make discounting products financially unviable. The cost to participate, such as Amazon's fees, plus slimmer profit margins, are leading even longtime sellers to opt out entirely. This shift highlights how rising trade costs and supply chain realities are reshaping Amazon marketplace dynamics, especially in the US based sellers, or especially for US based sellers, less able to absorb increases than Chinese competitors. For Amazon sellers, this is a clear signal to reassess pricing, sourcing, and promotional strategies heading into major sales events. And I'll just say real quick, this article is from Tech in Asia. So we got to remember the source a little bit, but I've seen this in several different places. I believe Fortune had an article about it as well. So it's definitely a concern. I think it's a little bit hyperbolic, but I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are.
Go, Noah.
Okay. I'll kick us off. I'll say it's not surprising, right? So many sellers right now are in kind of a limbo mode where we don't know what even, next week, let alone 90 days from now is going to look like, or 60 days. Right. And so
Yep.
I see it a lot. I see a lot of people kind of coming to this conclusion that, and realistically, I should also say, I'm also not a huge proponent as is to Prime Day, right? Simply put, just from the aspect of you see 3 weeks before Prime Day, sales start dropping. 3 weeks after, sales drop, right? It ends up a flat line as is. So I'm already kind of against Prime Day as it is. But that being said, this just isn't surprising, right? If people aren't going to have the inventory, they don't know how long inventory will take to get to them right now, how expensive it'll be. They're changing manufacturing, they're raising prices. Why would people participate, so to speak, in Prime Day? I already tell people, if you don't really feel like it, don't do it. But, it's the sales are going to be there one way or another, I think, still, even with the consumers.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the big thing I will say is we saw, for instance, Amazon 1P. All of Q1 was just stockpiling inventory from all their vendors for 6 months in advance. It's part of the reason we're facing issues right now with Amazon warehouses. Inventory levels, right? And being able to send in low volume items. And so I see stuff like that. And it's like, okay, so Amazon was prepping months ago themselves for Prime Day, knowing the tariffs were going to hit. And so Amazon will probably do great, but the average seller is, as we see, probably not going to.
Yeah.
You think?
I haven't got a whole lot of room to speak on this because I haven't manufactured in China in 7 years. All my stuff's made, not all of it, but my main products are made in the US. And then my other products that I'm not currently selling on Amazon, I'm D2C on those, they're made in Pakistan. So this is not affecting me like it is affecting many others. But I mean, the tariff talk is all the rage right now. But if I'm being honest, I feel like nobody really knows. Nobody knows.
Yep.
Everyone's freaking out. The sky is falling. Nobody actually knows. And so I don't really want to give a heavy opinion on this because I don't know. And I just think, but where there's discord and craziness and confusion, there is opportunity. So I'll tell you what opportunity my wife and I are taking on this. With what we're seeing online, we when it comes to finding U.S. manufacturers, it is really tough to find proper U.S. manufacturers. So we're building it. Well, we haven't fully decided, but we've started to build it. We've started aggregating data, and we're just going to build the Alibaba of the US or something like that. I mean, that's a tall order, but we'll probably call it like Bobby USA or something like that. JohnnyBobby.com. But
I like that one.
That Johnny Bobby.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Very American.
Yeah, but I think of this more toward the opportunity side. I realize that's like everyone is having issues when it comes to their product. They knew it was coming, so they had time to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows what the net result, the end result of this is going to be, but it's going to be better than what it is right now. And if not, well, if I'm wrong about that, then
none of it matters anyways.
yes, exactly. And diversification in your manufacturing is going to be something that you need to take care of. But I don't believe that anywhere else in the world has logistics down like China does for manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's going to be tougher.
I agree with you, Dane, in that we really have no idea where this is going to go right now. I was listening to Victor Davis Hansen, I believe is his name. He's a conservative podcast guy, but puts out a lot of really good stuff, but very intelligent stuff, not just hyperbolic stuff. And he compared what's happening right now to FDR when he implemented the New Deal. And we basically took a hard left turn towards big government controlling a lot more stuff in the economy. And Trump is kind of trying to do the opposite, right? A hard right turn, decreasing the size of government potentially, and reworking the way taxes work and everything else. And if you really think about everything that he says he wants to do, from eliminating the income taxes, bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., and tons of other things, it's a tall order. And we're only 100 days in, and he's done more than most presidents, I think, do in their entire 4 years. So we really don't know where things are going to go from here. It could fall off a cliff and the economy crashes, or we could, boom like crazy here in a year from now. You just don't know where it's going to go.
I know. I don't. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know what I would bet on either.
Yeah. That's the big thing, is that I think a lot of people are looking far too short term, because it's going to be like, there's so much pain with it right now. Right. And the thing that I think everyone is having a hard time with, especially when it comes to something like tariffs, is normally tariffs get rolled out in like waves over long periods of time that you have time to prep for. Whereas like this is happening today and from now on forward, right? And like no one had time to prep. And so that's the real chaos behind it, right? And so, but we're not going to really see a lot of like that kind of stuff. Like it's going to be 2 years, right, in the making for a lot of that to happen. And so it's going to be, if it does stick around, we're not going to know true outcome for a while, right? And so that's if all this happens. But I also wonder, because there was another news article this week from, Amazon was considering adding a little blurb showing what the cost increase of products is with, tariffs and everything, right? And then Trump called Bezos, and suddenly now that's gone. I'm kind of curious with something like this, if Amazon sees like a major decrease for the first year ever when it comes to total sales on Prime Day, right? Because every single year Amazon has seen an increase in sales on Prime Day. And so I'm kind of curious if that even happens. Like, would Bezos have much pull here?
Yeah. I mean,
my perfect world vision is that we end up getting reduced Amazon seller tariffs for anybody who goes through AGL. That's kind of what I think Amazon might try and do, is cut a deal like that. Is you go through AGL, you get reduced tariffs, which that's the most logical in my opinion.
And that puts how many other logistics companies out of business overnight?
Exactly. Like it's the best play for Amazon. It would be, the best. I mean, perfect worldview would be, having tariffs just affect differently based on, total revenue of a business, right? An SMB pays a different tariff than, an enterprise company. But, if I'm Amazon, I'm going to play the long game of trying to take more market share in an area that's extremely profitable for me, while simultaneously finally throwing a bone to the people on my platform for, once out of the 0 bones they ever give.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. This is a bone on a string. They're going to take it away. They'll just use it to entice you. Then they'll whoop.
Yeah, and the price increase that comes with
Exactly.
AGL right before it or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll get you on the platform. You'll get some kind of bonus. This is what they always do. You know, ads when 3P ads first came out, oh, it was so cheap. It was so effective. You just put up keywords, anything you want, you made $1 million. You know, and then they went, oh, well, there's tons of people doing ads, so it costs a lot more, you know.
Mhm.
And now you have 50 million ads experts out there. I am not one of them. You know, and it's just what they always do. It's a typical play, like make an offer that people can't refuse and then slowly remove what they couldn't refuse, but now they're entrenched.
Yeah, and make guardrails to force them into using it. Kind of like,
Especially once you're there.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one thing I definitely don't agree with is, the government picking winners and losers. Like, oh, we're going to exempt Apple from the tariffs because we like the iPhone, things like that. It's like, no, that's not how this should work. But unfortunately, it is what it is at the moment. Now, one thing that with the tariffs, I forget what I was going to say now. Oh, yeah. So one of the things that would have been ideal, as you were saying, Noah, is if we would have prepped for these tariff increases way beforehand before implementing them.
But he told everyone he was going to do it, though. He said it was coming.
He did. But I'm talking about building out, alternate supply chains. Like he didn't plan for China cutting off the raw materials and stuff that we need to produce a lot of different products in this country. Anyways, he didn't have other sources. He just signed a deal with Ukraine, but he's got to get Russia to end the war before we get any of that kind of stuff. So these kind of things should have happened before the tariffs. But I can't necessarily blame Trump because we live in such a hyperbolic world and polarizing Democrats and Republicans, right? Even though a lot of stuff that Trump is doing right now, like closing the border, cutting waste and fraud in the government, these are all things that Democrats have supported in the past. We're in a place right now that if a Republican does it and you're a Democrat, you can't support it. And if you're a Democrat doing it and you're a Republican, you can't support what the Democrat's doing. And so I think Trump knows that he's got 2 years to get done what he wants to get done, because if he loses the House in 2026, then a lot of what he wants to do is done. All the investigations start, the impeachments start, and everything else, and starts overshadowing what he wants to do. So unfortunately, he just had to go as fast as possible, and that's why he is moving so quickly.